Good afternoon. Welcome. You're watching CNN News 18 with me, Avantika Singh. Just ahead of the oath-taking ceremony, the Prime Minister-elect Narendra Modi met with the President Draupadi Murmu and staked claim to form the next government at the centre yesterday. In fact, Narendra Modi, while addressing the media, said that he is honoured to be chosen by the NDA as the leader and looks forward to forming a stable government at the centre. He is all set to take oath as the Prime Minister for the historic third term, and that ceremony is going to be happening at Rashtrapati Bhavan tomorrow at 7:15 in the evening. Top sources have told CNN News 18 that nearly 12 to 15 spots in the Union Council of Ministers could go to the NDA allies, as the BJP top brass have already been discussing with all of their alliance partners. Sources are also saying that the BJP wants to keep the top ministries, including the Home, External Affairs, Defence, Finance, while the TDP and the JDU, the two most crucial NDA partners, just might get some important cabinet berths in the government as well.
साथियों, मेरा बहुत सौभाग्य है कि एनडीए के नेता के रूप में आप सब साथियों ने सर्वसम्मति से चुन करके मुझे एक नया दायित्व दिया है और इसके लिए मैं आपका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूं। आज जब आप मुझे फिर से एक बार ये दायित्व देते हैं, इसका मतलब है कि हम दोनों के बीच हम आपस में विश्वास का सेतु इतना मजबूत है।
Let me go straight across now to Aman Sharma for more on the latest developments. Aman, so hectic negotiations and jockeying for the key ministerial posts is going on. Tomorrow is a very important day. Now tell us, give us an overall picture. While the prominence will be on the JDU and the TDP, both parties which have been pushing for long-standing demands for special category status to their states. What is it that you're hearing as far as the cabinet berths allocation for these two parties are concerned? And then we'll come to the smaller parties later.
Well, Avantika, see, one thing is very, very clear from both the JDU and the TDP camps that their priority is getting enough financial infusion into their states. They are more interested in the special package, what financial assistance can be given for the development of both Andhra Pradesh and Bihar. That is priority number one. The priority number two, of course, they would want a respectable representation in the government. If they're joining the government, they want a respectable representation. So the TDP, what we are hearing is that the TDP with 16 seats could get one full cabinet berth and two Minister of State posts, so 3 berths in total. Senior leader of the TDP, Mr. K. Ram Mohan Naidu, is said to be a front runner for the cabinet post. He's a 3-time MP from Srikulam. He's also a close confidant of Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, and he is expected to, his name is said to be doing the rounds as the front runner. For the JDU, which has 12 seats, they may get one full cabinet and either 1 or 2 Minister of State posts as well. That is what we are hearing from the JDU camp. Mr. Lallan Singh, who's the senior leader of the JDU, who's won again as an MP and who's a close confidant again of Mr. Nitish Kumar, is expected to be the front runner for the full-time cabinet post. There are other names from the JDU doing the rounds of Mr. Ramnath Thakur, Mr. Sanjay Jha as well. No clarity so far. But this is what we are hearing from the JDU and the TDP camps, that their priority number one, as I said, is the financial package. Of course, they can't get that special status anymore because that nomenclature no longer exists.
Exactly.
But the financial infusion into the states is their number one priority. In fact, the TDP, during its talks, has made it clear that development of Amravati, development of the dam projects, this all is really important to them, and what the centre really assures them now or in the union budget, which is expected in a month's time, would be interesting to see. These seems to be on the cards for the two big parties, Avantika. If you talk of the smaller parties, when you were asking, the LJP, which has 5 MPs this time, Mr. Chirag Paswan's party. Mr. Chirag Paswan, I think, is set to become a full-time cabinet minister. So is Mr. Shiva Sena party of Eknath Shinde, who has 7 MPs. We are hearing the name of Srirang Barne. Again, he's a senior leader of the Eknath Shinde camp. He's one of the MPs, because Mr. Eknath Shinde has said that his son Shrikant Shinde won't be joining the cabinet. So the senior most leader is Srirang Barne. He's expected to be a part of the cabinet. From the JDS, which has two MPs, H.D. Kumaraswamy is expected to become a union minister. Same from the RLD.
Right.
We are expecting that Jayant Chaudhary could be a cabinet minister as well.
Very interesting. Braj Mohan Singh also joins us. Braj Mohan, granting special category status to Bihar has been a long pending demand of the JDU Supremo. In fact, he had even passed a resolution last year seeking the centre to give this status. Now, as Aman was telling us, the centre has categorically denied earlier in the past to grant the special status to any state. So, will they be content with a plum portfolios, as Aman was telling us about, and a nice hefty financial package?
While we listened to Nitish Kumar yesterday, while he was speaking in the parliament, we heard that Bihar ko ab hum log saath mein hai, Bihar ko sab kuch milega hi milega, that we know.
True.
So when Bihar was partitioned, as in Bihar and Jharkhand in 2000, Bihar has been demanding for a special package. And this time, Nitish Kumar is a kingmaker, no doubt about it. And Nitish Kumar knows his value. JDU is coming with 12 MPs. And Nitish Kumar has joined Prime Minister Modi without any condition. But we all know that Nitish Kumar has been asking for a special package for Bihar, for setting up industries, for setting up development agenda in Bihar. That is very important, because if Nitish Kumar fails to do so, RJD will damage the party while Bihar goes to the polls next year. So development agenda is very important. A special package is very important. And second thing, Aman was talking about is distribution of important portfolios. Rajiv Ranjan, one of the political friend of Nitish Kumar for last 40 years. He is from Bhumihar community. He is from strong Bhumihar community, no doubt about it. And Lalan Kumar, he will be adjusted in next portfolio. And second is Sanjay Jha. He has been political aide of Nitish Kumar for last 13, 14 years. He has been right hand of Nitish Kumar. He might have been given important portfolio. And third thing, we talk about Ramnath Thakur. He's son of Karpuri Thakur, former Chief Minister of Bihar, who was given Bharat Ratna before the Lok Sabha elections. So Ramnath Thakur is one of the important ally, one of the important leaders. Nitish Kumar and Prime Minister Modi would like to have it in the cabinet.
Absolutely. Stay on with me. Manoj Sharma is also joining us. Manoj, what are you hearing from your sources? As I've been saying, hectic parlays, negotiations have been going on. So many meetings with leaders going back and forth, meeting with Amit Shah and also the Prime Minister. So who do you think will get what just before the oath-taking ceremony? Will those decisions be made soon?
You know, Madhya Pradesh, BJP has won all 29 seats in Madhya Pradesh. That's very important. So obviously, the weightage for Madhya Pradesh, due weightage for Madhya Pradesh is expected. According to NDA, or you can say BJP sources here in Madhya Pradesh, in the state capital in Bhopal, there were 6 ministers in the union cabinet in the previous government. So obviously, they are expecting at least 4 with all these, coalition compulsions. At least 4 ministers can be inducted in the union cabinet from Madhya Pradesh. And the front runners, obviously, Jyotirai Scindia, he was already there as civil aviation minister in the previous government. And then former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, who has won from Vidisha. These are the 2 front runners from Madhya Pradesh. And we can also understand that this is tribal dominated state. So obviously there would be some possible name from tribal community. For example, there is BJP MP from Savitri Thakur from Dhar, and also Himadri Singh, who has also won for the second time. She is from Shahdol. So these are the 2 possible names from tribal community and one more name from scheduled caste. So at least 4 ministers can be inducted from Madhya Pradesh. 4 names, 4 berths can be given to Madhya Pradesh.
Very interesting. Just stay on with me. I also have with us Swastika. She's joining us. Swastika, I was just talking to Braj Mohan. Now, Nitish Kumar's speech yesterday was clearly the highlight of the parliamentary mode. He may have made the Prime Minister laugh out loud, but his speech also was a whiff of call for the special category status. Now, it's going to be very interesting as to who gets what, especially with the focus being on the TDP and the JDU. What's the latest that you're hearing?
Let us talk about the priority list for the TDP. They don't have an exact number, but what we are picking up is 1 cabinet berth and 2 MOS portfolios, what the TDP is hoping for. But in terms of their priorities, they have to create 20 lakh jobs in the next 5 years and create a sustainable ecosystem. Andhra Pradesh is a debt-ridden state, and that's why for the TDP, they need maximum support from the central government that will help them to pump in funds into the state and help them essay all their existing promises, which includes Babu Super 6 and particularly about the Polavaram project, which they have vowed to complete in the next 2 years. And more importantly, it's the capital city of Amravati which needs to be developed from the scratch. So the portfolios that the TDP would be eyeing for would be something that will be of consequential to the state. That would mean Jal Shakti is something that I'm picking up. The other one would be urban development. All of this has been doing the rounds, but we really cannot put a pinpoint and say that these are the ministries that the TDP has asked for. What I can definitely tell you, gauging on what I picked up from TDP side, is 1 cabinet and 2 MOS is what they're expecting, and that seems to be their priority list. And also the front runner in this case, as my colleague Aman Sharma has pointed out, is Ram Mohan Naidu. He's a 3-time MP from Srikakulam, a close aide of Chandrababu Naidu, and his father too was a union minister. So he definitely stands a strong chance as emerging as one of the front runners to grab a cabinet berth.
All right. Thanks, Swastika. I'll just come back to you. We've just received some breaking news that ministers have been given 9 invitation cards. That's the breaking news coming in right now. MPs to get 1+1 pass. So that's interesting. All the MPs who have won can bring along a guest. Over 9,000 people have been invited for this mega oath-taking ceremony. So big news coming in, and all the invitations have been extended not just to the MPs but also to dignitaries, to foreign guests. And what we're getting to hear is that 9,000 guests have been inviting for the Prime Minister-elect Narendra Modi's oath-taking ceremony. Payal joins us for more on this. Payal, over to you. Fill us in with all the details.
Well, of course, it is a historic occasion nonetheless, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to take oath tomorrow at the Rashtrapati Bhavan along with his Council of Ministers. And this is a rare record when a Prime Minister has been able to repeat 3 terms as well. So obviously there's a huge guest list which has been drawn up. Ministers are given more guests to bring in, ministers' spouses, and their guests can come in. MPs who have won can bring in their guests as well. That arrangement has been made. There are a lot of foreign dignitaries who are coming over here. There are also multiple people like former prime ministers, former vice presidents. All of them have been invited as the protocol really follows. But one interesting thing to watch out for is that Narendra Modi is known to do multiple things very differently, Avantika. This time around, he has invited not only these VIPs and VVIP guests, including the people from the film world and people from the world of sports also. There are these common men who have been, men and women who have been working for the development of the country, have been working towards building that Viksit Bharat. They have been extended an invitation to as well. So whether it is people who are working in the railways on Vande Bharat projects, whether it is the sanitation workers or even the labourers who worked on the Central Vista project, they have received a special invitation to come and witness history in its making. And given the fact that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has always said that he is the representative of the Janta, he's a Karyakarta who's risen to the top, but he of course is the common man's Prime Minister. So that's something which is very extraordinary. You can see that Prime Minister Narendra Modi always leaves a mark on everybody's mind with the kind of things that he comes up with. So obviously there are a lot of and people within the PMO also telling us that the actual VIPs are these people who've actually worked day in and day out to work for a better India.
How lovely. Sanitation workers, labourers, railway employees, all of them have been extended an invitation. Dignitaries, foreign dignitaries will also be attending the Prime Minister's oath-taking ceremony. Payal, I'm just curious, I'm just inquisitive. Will there be members from the opposition also who have been given the invite to attend the Prime Minister's oath-taking ceremony?
Well, absolutely. The opposition leaders as per protocol will also be invited. Last time around, I remember Sonia Gandhi coming and hugging Sushma Swaraj and Uma Bharti when she came in as well. So these invitations are part of protocol. They'll be sent. For everything that happens, there are invitations extended to various political parties, probably presidents of various political parties, presidents of the NDA allies. All of these leaders are expected to be present because it's a grand affair. And a source of mine told me that they actually counted to see that there were 9,500 chairs that have been put in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Our colleague Arunima also brought us the visuals of the preparation that were happening yesterday as well. It's a huge occasion. Nonetheless, forget the numbers or whatever else. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on the verge of creating history yet again. since the 1960s, we have not seen this repeated ever. People have trusted the Prime Minister, people have trusted his brand of politics, and that's the reason he's becoming the Prime Minister for the third time in a row. But maybe the dynamics of the government will change, but the overall impact and the overall intent of the government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi remains pretty much the same, and he speaks about Viksit Bharat 2047.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the BJP, if you see the elections, may have fallen short of that majority mark, may have not really gotten the numbers that they had expected or had predicted. But the fact remains that the Prime Minister is taking oath for a record third time, and that in itself, Payal, is a historic feat. It's a big achievement for the BJP, for the Prime Minister as well, personally.
It is absolutely a big honor. It's a big responsibility also, as the BJP leaders are saying that this is history in its making. Given the fact that since 1960s, when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru did that same record, there's been no repetition of that as well. But every political party, whether it's in the opposition or probably in the NDA, they do realize that the brand Narendra Modi has remained unblemished over the years. There are no corruption allegations against this government. He has worked day in and day out. People say he's not taken a break also ever, and the only break that he took in between was to go and meditate and get his thoughts cleared as well. So that's the kind of a reputation, that's the kind of impact that he comes up with. Of course, it's going to be new charter territory for him to run a coalition government, because he's been vehemently opposed to coalition government as well. But Avantika, at least 2 decades ago, which had just 2 MPs, to the party which was looking at getting 400 MPs in the parliament and probably has more than 240 MPs right now. It is, of course, a long way that the BJP has been able to come, given the fact that they do not have that kind of experience of running the country like the Congress party and the UPA really did.
Right, Payal, thanks so much for joining us. Harish also joins us for the very latest. Harish, there's just a lot that has been going on right here in the national capital. Alliances are so important for this present government, for the BJP. They have to lean in on that support for them to form the government. Now, what are you hearing from your sources about the JDS? It's a very important alliance, and the Prime Minister also very close to the big leaders from the JDS in Karnataka.
Well, what we do understand is that the JDS is likely to get 1 cabinet berth. That is most likely Mr. Kumaraswamy, who will be making it to the cabinet. The JDS making it very clear that they are not placing any demand as such as far as a specific portfolio is concerned. But they're saying that we do hope that the BJP understands that we are a party that has its vote base largely in rural areas. So we will be given a portfolio that is allied or related to agriculture, so that we can serve our core voter base. That's been the line of the JDS.
But is it true that they're eyeing the agricultural portfolio in the new NDA government?
Well, they're hoping that they are given the agriculture portfolio, but with the change scenario, with the BJP needing more allies now, the JDU is also placing similar demands. And would the BJP want to give away a portfolio like agriculture, considering that they've taken a hit in rural areas? At least that's been the analysis of this result. Would the BJP want to keep that and then ensure that they get back the rural voter base? So that's something that the party would be deciding, or perhaps it's already deliberating on the issue of the meetings that have happened over the last 2 days or so. But the JDS is saying that we are hoping that the BJP will understand that we've contributed to their vote share here. Not just the 2 seats that the JDS has got, but also the successful vote transfer that has happened from the JDS to the BJP candidate in several other constituencies.
Very interesting. Thanks so much for joining us. Tejinder Singh was also joining us for the very latest. Tejinder, what's the latest that you have on the decisions that are being made and all of the allies being accommodated in the new NDA government?
See, as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, the BJP has won 2 seats, one from Jammu and the other one from the Udhampur parliamentary constituency. Dr. Jitendra Singh is a 3rd-time member parliament, so is Jugal Kishore Sharma. Dr. Jitendra Singh had been MOS in the PMO in last 2 terms, and now there is a glowing clamor from the BJP, especially the Jammu and Kashmir unit, that Jugal Kishore Sharma, who has been representing the Jammu parliamentary constituency, should also be included in the union cabinet, because he too has been a 3-time member parliament. This is his 3rd tenure, 3rd time in a row. He had been an MLA earlier also. Now there is a growing demand from the state unit of the BJP that Jugal Kishore Sharma should also be accommodated in the union cabinet. But given the fact that this now is a coalition government, BJP will have to accommodate other coalition partners, including TDP and Nitish Kumar. So it would Nitish Kumar JDU. So it would be interesting to see how many berths BJP would keep for its own member parliaments. But from Jammu and Kashmir, where BJP contested on 2 parliamentary seats, won both, there were chances that if BJP had contested from the Kashmir Valley or one of their supported candidate could have won, he could too have been accommodated in the union cabinet to send a message across Kashmir Valley that BJP is open to accommodate anybody from Kashmir. But given the fact that all those 3 seats from Kashmir, the Baramulla went to Engineer Rashid, who is a known separatist ideology and who carries the separatist ideology. Then the Srinagar seat went to National Conference. The Anantnag Rajouri seat also went to National Conference. So now from the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, BJP has 2 member parliaments. So it would be interesting to see whether Dr. Jitendra Singh would get a 3rd term as a union cabinet minister, union minister, or Jugal Kishore Sharma would be given a chance this time. Yes.
Right. Just stay on with me. Mayuresh is also joining us. Mayuresh, one thing is clear that the maximum representation would be going to Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, those 2 states being the focus. But what are you hearing from your sources about Maharashtra? Is it true that the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena government just might get 1 cabinet berth, given the fact that assembly elections are due in the state in the month of October? Mayuresh, can you hear me? Okay, so that's the latest. We have been getting all these voices from our reporters from different parts of the state, trying to find out as to what really will be given to all of these allies. Okay, Mayuresh, if you can hear me, one thing seems to be clear is that Bihar and Andhra are likely to get more berths because of their performance. They just might be seeing greater representation. Well, unfortunately, we have lost our correspondent from Mumbai. We'll try and establish contact with him in just a bit. But for now, it's time for us to take a short break. We will get you lots more updates and voices on the decisions, very important decisions that are being made ahead of the Prime Minister's oath-taking ceremony. Keep watching.